While the holiday season has kicked off for some people, it seems there is no holiday for politics this week. Following a scathing letter announcing his resignation, ANC Veterans League Deputy President Mavuso Msimang has retracted it. This is while former ANC RET faction member Carl Niehaus announced his new political home at the EFF, and former President Jacob Zuma is to announce his political plans this afternoon. What do you make of all these developments? Let's make sense of them. Political analyst Dr Ebrahim Harvey weighs in, joining us. A very good morning to you, Dr Harvey. Thank you so much for your time. It's been quite a busy political week. Former President Jacob Zuma is expected to brief the media this afternoon about his political future. This is all amid speculation that he's planning to start a new party. The brief statement, at least when it comes to hints, reads that come witness the beginning of a new chapter in politics as we craft the future of a new South Africa we all deserve. It's the beginning of a great future. How do we begin to interpret this?
Well, good morning, and good morning to the listeners. There's various ways in which one can respond to your question, but I just need to deal with something that, I've been listening to a few commentators and analysts over the past few days, and I've also been doing a lot of interviews on radio and so on. I think there's a big gap in the understanding of the current political conjuncture. Let me try and spell it out for you.
Yeah.
Which will address your question about what Zuma is likely to do, today at this anniversary of MK. And, I've even read something about the formation of a political party in the name of the MK. No, you got to look at the history. We'll deal with Mavuso later, but the history of this thing is very interesting. Jimmy Manyi, spokesman for the Zuma Foundation, where did he go to? EFF.
Yeah.
Now, later, you see, he formed ARETA, Carl Niehaus, African Radical Economic Transformation Alliance. He left it, he joined. Now, when Jimmy Manyi left, joined the EFF, what did Malema said? He said, we're waiting now for you, Zuma. I believe that behind the scenes, Zuma has been in discussions with the EFF. Carl Niehaus joins the EFF, Jimmy Manyi. So that is going to determine what this thing about Zuma form is very deeply embittered, I'll tell you, by the ANC, and especially Ramaphosa, who he holds responsible for his jailing, etc. But there's no way, I'm repeating it, that Zuma is going to form an entirely new political outfit to compete against the ANC. No, logically, he's going to throw in his weight with people who have been very close to him, who joined the EFF, namely Jimmy Manyi and Carl Niehaus. That is going to be, I'm almost very certain. Politics is, a lot of things can happen, but the trend, and if you do an analysis of what has happened to the others, then you can see I think it will be very surprising if he ignores where people close to him have gone to and decides to form a new outfit of his own, who's going to then be in competition with these, with the EFF. It doesn't make sense, really. So my take on it, to simply answer is that I don't foresee him forming a new political formation at all, and that he is more likely to throw in his lot with the EFF.
So with all the speculation rife on the various social media platforms that he may throw in the towel with the ANC, elections are around the corner. What would this mean for the ANC, especially looking at the efforts that were made this week to retain ANC veteran Mavuso Msimang, who has since withdrawn his resignation after talks with the ANC top brass?
Yeah, no, very bad news for the ANC. I did a couple of radio interviews yesterday too, and this question was posed to me. In my own analysis, I don't like this flip-flopping timidity. That is what I called it in radio interview yesterday of Msimang. Really, he's lost credibility. You must go and see what people, News 24 carry something, and what the responses of people have been. The bulk of it was that, what the hell, where do we trust you? What integrity do you have? How can and a major reconsideration of matters led to him resigning, and he spells it out in to then, after maybe some pressure was brought to bear, and using the other leaders of the MK Veteran Association, but it has left a bitter taste in my mouth and other people. You know, in my column on News 24, I urged him not to rather join other efforts, you know. I mean, how long, this whole sense of renewal of the ANC is a lie, an outright falsification, and Ramaphosa continues to, because it shows you, the answer is that despite his best efforts for over a decade, I followed his writings against corruption, nothing happened. They never took him seriously. Then when he resigns, they rush to him because they think that if he is resigned from the ANC, it will count against him in the 2024 elections. No, there are far more important issues that's going to count, and it's done already. It's dusted. You cannot change it. The load shedding crisis, the biggest cost of living crisis ever in the history of South Africa, let alone post-apartheid. All those things, the load shedding, the water, sanitation, everything is falling apart. Those objective issues. Now you must see, 2016 the ANC lost the local government. They lost it again in 2021 because the electorate used, for the first time they voted with their feet. And you know what's happened from 2021 November with the election results out locally? It got considerably worse. So it tells me that people are more likely to vote now with their feet in this election, and I'm now convinced more than ever before that the ANC is going to drop, not only lose it where they don't secure 50+1, they're going to drop between 40 to 45%, and you're going to have a national coalition government. But there's one thing that I need to add. If indeed Zuma throws in his lot with Malema and the EFF, I have analyzed that the EFF, for a number of reasons, is going to climb from where they have been, roughly 11-12% to 15-20%. If Zuma joins the EFF, I tell you something, I even think the scene is set now where the EFF secures more votes than the official opposition, the DA. Our politics is unprecedented ferment and flux at the moment, and anything can happen. But I don't see Zuma leaving the ANC and throwing in his lot other than with the EFF. That is what the logic of the situation dictates to my mind.
So what will this mean now for KZN as a province? Should Zuma, side with the EFF, and the probabilities around KwaZulu-Natal?
Very, very important question. This is a very key and critical question you've put now, because that's the big thing. You see, the only remaining, look, he's a very popular guy, and very down to earth. You'd be surprised when you meet with him. I interviewed him for Motlante's authorized biography. He's a very nice chap, but he's got pockets of support around the country. But the 70% I estimate of Zuma's support is in KZN, and it's the Zulu socio-cultural reasons behind it, etc. And that is the attempt to answer your question. I think the ANC is not going to do well in KZN. If Zuma throws in his lot with the EFF, I'm telling you, I believe anything can happen. In fact, to the extent where, remember, there's still several months left. And if Zuma throws his lot through the EFF, and the EFF, I think, has been having discussions, and they've been confident. You can see, how do you think Carl Niehaus leaves RET and throws in his lot? They've been having discussions deep into the night and early hours of the morning, I believe. A lot of strategizing is going on at the moment. So your question is key and critical, because I think the political fortunes of KZN is going to shift dramatically and drastically. I foresee that is the weight that Zuma carries in the country, and KZN in particular. So if he throws in his lot to the EFF, you're going to expect ructions in the election results of KZN next year and wider, but particularly KZN, in order to respond to your specific question. Yeah.
We heard some hint of a reaction from President Cyril Ramaphosa, basically, really in a nutshell, saying that, they acknowledge and are aware that Zuma is set to make some sort of announcement this afternoon. Is there anything to read between the lines there, especially after all the efforts with Mavuso Msimang and sort of a very laid-back approach to an announcement that could potentially be groundbreaking for the ANC should Zuma decide to leave the party for the EFF?
Yeah, well, Ramaphosa's laid back. about most things. It's the way he is, But I heard what he had to say. I think, there's no love lost. Let me tell you, Zuma's jailing in 2020 is most embittered by that than anything else, and he directly accuses Ramaphosa, and perhaps with quite a lot of truth to it, if you see what's been happening, the Concord judgment and so on. But I think that the ANC, they might have attempted to speak to Zuma and rally behind, get him to support their being re-elected and win the 2024. I think they would fail. There's lots of things, and then there's Ismagashule's outfit, It surprised me a bit because I had thought that Ismagashule, since that Jimmy Mani had gone to the EFF and now would also have thrown his lot there. But certainly for me, at the end of the day, because it's complex matters here, I don't see Zuma. I see him leave. The logic is that if he joins the EFF, naturally he's got to leave the ANC. Yeah. So he's got to terminate his membership of the ANC in order to join the EFF. I think that is what's going to happen today. Well, they said they expected a dramatic announcement from him today, coinciding with the 62nd anniversary of MK. That is what I see happening. And it's going to certainly have a tumultuous effect on our politics. There's no doubt about it. If Zuma leaves the ANC and throws in his lot with the EFF, but the most dramatic shift in results I foresee happening, because 4 months, 5 months is left, a lot can happen. Is Zuma throwing in his lot with the EFF and the EFF coming to win KZN? And if you look at Malema, he's been going a lot to the KZN and having talks with the king there. A lot of things have been happening for a while. But you have to ask yourself, why is Malema, Floyd Chavambu and the EFF leadership, they say it openly, we are winning 2024. We are going to be the new ruling party. Where do you think that will just come from? I think a lot of things have been happening behind the scenes, really. Yeah. And so I foresee to continue that momentum. I see Zuma throwing in his lot with the EFF, terminating his membership of the ANC, where, he's had so much gripes and been so unhappy, since he was jailed, especially. And
very quickly, just going back to Mavuso Msimang's resignation and him, agreeing to stay with the party. The ANC having agreed and committed to deal swiftly with ill-disciplined members, including those implicated in the state capture. Yet, Chief Justice Raymond Zondo's recommendations on state reform have been largely ignored. So some contradictions there. Yeah. What could potentially happen?
Yeah, no, I must be honest with you. I know Ramaphosa from 82 when he formed Duma. I was there at the far. No, this is disingenuous of him. Let me tell you, if there's one person who deserves to be fingered, who have been very slack on corruption, it is Cyril Ramaphosa, our president. You remember what he said last year? And there, he hasn't acted against the people who've been fingered. Several ministers have been fingered seriously by the Zondo Commission of Inquiry. He failed to act against it. You see, he doesn't want to tip this delicate balance of power in the ANC. He failed to act against them. And now, because of the attempted resignation of Msimang, and now the flip-flopping now, the reason why they're saying that is because in his letter of resignation, he pointed to corruption and that nothing has been really done. So now to address that, Ramaphosa suddenly says, he's appointed a number of people who are looking into taking legal action against people who've been fingered, But it's rather late, in the day, to be honest with you. And it's a face-saving thing, because Ramaphosa, who came to power with a new dawn and anti-corruption crusade, #1 in the country, and who in fact went so far as to blame the ANC. He says #1 accused of corruption is the ANC. And then he fails to act on implementing the Zondo Commission inquiry. I mean, this guy's not seriously. Yeah. And so I don't expect, anything. There will be attempts to prosecute and go further, but I think the delicate power. I mean, for example, two people are very close to him. Gwedi Mantashe comes from Num, is former Num leader, very, very close. That's in fact how Gary Matash gets the Ministry of Energy the position. A lot of things going on. You look at Num people and where they ended up and the centrality of Ramaphosa in placing people. That's how they work, the former NUM people. But I don't foresee any major developments really in the run-up to the election because of prosecuting people, because of the run-up to and the sensitivity and the factions and the attempts to strike a delicate balance. I don't see them acting before the 2024 election.
Very well. Thank you so much for that. Weighing in on the politics of the week, political analyst Dr Ebrahim Harvey. Of course, we'll have to really just gauge to see what former President Jacob Zuma will have to say when it comes to that grand announcement this afternoon at around 2 o'clock. Be sure to catch that on Newzroom Afrika.